Alright, I'm Niz. This is NizCast episode 8. We're going to look at warding some more. Obviously, my last video, episode 7, covered warding, basic rune positions, Kongor, stuff like that. This one, we're going to look a little bit at a different aspect of warding, and how we can use wards to, push, and how we can use them in different lane configurations, and how we're going to basically use them to our advantage. So, let's say, we're Hellborn and we're laning bottom. So common ward position is, say we're at the 2-minute mark, come over here, see, spot the rune. Okay, yes, it's there. No, it's not. We're telling our mid. Then we wait a couple seconds, then we ward this position. Sees rune, good place, sees any incoming ganks, whatever. Cool. Alright, so now it's a little bit later on in the game. During the laning phase, you might have ward to stop there. But it's a little bit later on in the game. Now we want to take this tower. How are we going to do that? How can we use wards to either keep ourselves safe in the lane or to take the tower? A really common ward position, well, not common, but a really good ward position is actually right there. Now you say, what the heck does that see? Well, that does see any ports coming in from the defensive tower. So we can see when any enemies are porting in so we don't get surprised. We can see exactly how many heroes are there. We know, as long as we're keeping track of them, we can see, how many are down in there. Say if there's 2 here and there's, all of a sudden we only see 1, well, we know that he's down in there or he's ported out. But we should be keeping track of these things. This also helps us see anything incoming while we're pushing this tower. So, we're not surprised by them all of a sudden coming and jumping in. Whether, it could be nighttime and our vision range isn't as far, but they definitely have vision of us from the creeps and from the tower. So we can use this to help us push this tower. Another thing is, maybe it's a little bit later on in the game, some other towers have been taken. You could just ward here. We can see some traffic in their jungle, but we can also see them coming for bottom. Maybe we already know that there's no one there, or we know, we can see the other guys on the map. We know that no one's here. We're already up in this tower's face. This ward might not be as valuable to us, but this ward definitely is. Because we can see the people coming from there, and these are the positions that are actually going to put us in a bad spot, because if they come from above or come from behind, that's when we're really in trouble. If they come straight on, we're generally alright, because we can back off or we can play accordingly. There obviously is a little bit of a gap. They could come up and go through here and then come around on us, but that's going to waste a lot of time for them, and we're going to probably get the tower down or get a lot of damage on it. And chances are when you're pushing this tower, you push up a little bit so that you don't see that. So this is a very good ward spot for taking it a little bit earlier when there's going to be a lot of ports. If you see people across the map and they don't have ports or whatever, and you've got the numbers advantage and you're in a better position on the tower, then maybe this is a good ward position. Obviously, you have to think ahead of time. You can't just say, alright, cool, we're pushing bottom, and then, your team's here and they're pushing the tower and you're just like, well, I gotta go ward off this place, make sure we don't see anyone coming. You do that, you're gonna die. You might do it a couple times and you might get away with it, but chances are you're gonna run into them and you're gonna die. Don't do it. Also, when you're already going after this tower, running up and warding this isn't the point of this ward. If you run up and ward this now, you're already at the tower. First of all, you just showed them that you warded it because they have vision from the tower, although they can't actually see the physical ward. But all this is then seeing is just people running up here. The whole point of this ward is to see them porting in while you're pushing and you're like back here. Because when you're around here and pushing the tower and they've seen, okay, you guys have shown 3, 4 heroes or something like that, they know that you're pushing, that's when they're going to port in. They're not going to wait until you're right up in the tower's face and port. Some of them might, their carry might port in last minute, and that's when they're going to engage on you, but, they're not going to port in when you're right up here as their entire team, because people are going to get picked off that way. It's very easy to set up combos on someone who's porting in. So that's kind of how you take that bottom tower as Hellborn. Now, it's a little bit different for Legion if they were trying to take bottom tower, because you can't really do it the same way. A common place for Legion to ward is actually here in front, or over here, in this general area. It doesn't have to be exact. What that does see is it sees the tower, it sees ports in. So you can, if you're farming back in the lane over here, you can see them porting in. You can see what's going on. You can also see if they try to go through the trees here. So this ward helps sees them coming around the trees to gank you. But this ward sees a little bit more than that, although it doesn't see rune. But this ward does see, the ports in. It sees possible ganks going on. You can see exactly how much it sees now. So obviously that's a good ward. Now I'm actually going to jump all the way up to top here, and I'm going to show, Legion pushing top, which is pretty similar. Obviously Hellborn can mimic that ward that I just explained bottom. Here it kind of sees the same thing. It sees them port in, it sees from river, and it sees them hopping into the jungle. But we're Legion now, and we want to push top tower. Walk up here, and we're going to ward right there. Notice I don't come around and ward it, because then that would spot me. I ward it from around here, and as long as I'm watching the time, I shouldn't get spotted by the creeps either. So that's just a good way of warding. When you place this one down here, you do exactly the same thing. Make sure you're not spotted by the tower, and you look at the time to make sure the creeps aren't coming. Don't aggro those. So now, the equivalent to this one for Legion is kind of weird. You could have just top rune warded, maybe here. That kind of helps a little bit. Or you could have it warded up here at the pillar. That kind of helps a little bit, but they still don't see exactly what you see with the other one. So pretty much this is just the one that you depend on most of the time. That's the one that's going to spot the ports in, but you could put a ward out here or something. Although I don't think it would be that valuable, because I don't think that would all see all the way down here. Anyways, it's something that you're definitely going to want to experiment with. Some people even ward over here. They chop the tree down, this tree mainly, so that they get a little bit more vision, and it can see a lot of what's going on. This is actually a pretty good ward spot. You can even ward over here. As long as you knock this tree down, you can put this one down, and it helps seize any enemy heroes, Hellborn heroes, trying to come in behind you when you're Legion pushing this tower. Okay? So let's say we've got the first tower down top. Now we're pushing the second tower. How do we use our wards? Well, this is actually a really good ward spot. These pillars, there's 4 of them, obviously, for every single secondary tower. What am I doing? Oh, over here and here. So that's for all 4 of the secondary towers or second tier towers. They work really great for when you're pushing the tower. You can ward there, and it can see a lot of what's going on with the enemies. When you're pushing the tower, it makes sure that they can't kind of come around behind or an attack from the side, engage from the side. This even engaging from here is almost like they're engaging from behind you even. But it also gives them the ability to completely go behind. So that's a good ward. Unfortunately, the defense can also use that as a ward as well, because when you're defense and you're over here, this also sees any of the enemy heroes trying to come around and flank you and get in behind you or engage from the side. So chances are when you're pushing a tower, if the enemy's good, they're going to use a ward of revelation to counter ward you there. So it's kind of a little bit of a counter war. But if you get over there and you've got it up first and you control this area, then it's really hard for the enemy to engage, because as long as you can control this area, control the ward position, then they have a really hard time trying to engage, because they can't see and they know that you can see everything. So it's once you get into that position, you only need like 1 guy pushing the tower at that point, or 2 guys pushing the tower at that point, as long as you're controlling this area, because you're controlling the engagement. And this works the same for most of the other positions. It's a little bit different. When we go to, let's say, top, Hellborn's pushing the secondary tower. It's a little bit different because there isn't completely that flank, but, warding up here sees a lot. Sees a lot of what's going on. You could potentially come around and jump them from behind here, but it's less likely. You don't really see that as much. But you definitely see it up top, or in the bottom lane. Let me refresh my boots here. So let's look. So Hellborn's pushing the second tower bottom. A lot of people ward here, which is pretty good. But of course the defense does as well, because, you know, say you're Magnus or something, you come around here, you're Hellborn. This is a great spot to ult and then blink in. It's an amazing spot. You're gonna jump right on them. They're all gonna be around this location. It's amazing. Or Behemoth, same thing. But, you know, the enemy team knows that as well. They should have someone up here checking, making sure that no one's there. Or they should have this warded to spot that. Okay? So that's just one way. Another actual relatively good spot is the one over here, which we used before. This is actually kind of a good defensive ward spot to defend the second tower, because you can see where the enemies are. Because if they're here, you're going to see them because this is where your creeps are. So you know they're there. The only place in here, this sees them. And if you've got a ward here, if you've got someone sitting up here, they're going to see anything going on there. So the only place they can really hide is down in the trees here. So good ward spot for protecting that. And now I'm just going to run all the way up to see the second tower bottom. So if Andromeda could run a little faster, that would be great. Oh, no haste turn. Oh well. So we're almost there. So once again, warding this pillar, very strong. This kind of mimics top up here a little bit, but actually probably mimics there a little bit more, because this sees a lot. All the defensive positions that Hellborn are going to be in are spotted by this ward. So Hellborn's gathering here to defend their tower. This ward sees everything. Hellborn tries to come around sneaking behind. This ward sees everything. If you're hiding in these trees, it sees you. You know, it's the only way that you can kind of get jumped as Legion when pushing this tower is if they completely come in from behind, as you see on the minimap, and come in through like Congo or the Ancient Way. But chances are you have that warded for the rune anyways. So this is obviously a very valuable ward. But, you know, Hellborn should know that as well, and they should counter-ward it accordingly. So it's once again one of those things, if you can control that area, you can stop them from counter-warding it, because they could counter-ward it from below here with, I believe, 600 range hero. Andromeda isn't that, so I couldn't even test it. But if you control that, then once again you control the engagements, and you can control the fight, and you can almost get an easy tower if they let you get in that position. But, you know, when you're talking about defending towers, you need to make sure that they don't get in that favorable position to begin with. So wards can help that. Wards can help spot them coming and pushing as well. I didn't really cover pushing middle towers. They're kind of weird. They're very different, actually. You can have like a ward here, which kind of tracks movement and kind of sees anything going on from the side. But, you know, there's these trees that can be crazy. There's, you know, the other side, there's tons of trees. You can actually ward in behind. I'm not sure where it is. I think it's somewhere like that. Yeah, that's about right. Which actually isn't spotted by either of the towers, but sees a lot of what's going on. That's a very awesome ward. It's the same thing on Legion, except you ward like here or something to kind of see what's going on. This helps. This helps defend your mid if you're Legion against a push, because you can kind of see anyone coming around the side here to getting a positional advantage on you. There can be wards up here, like maybe like right around here, which kind of help defend. There's a ward over here somewhere that kind of sees a little bit, but it's not the greatest. But anyways, hop in a practice game, practice some things out, or test some things out. There's a whole bunch of wards that you can use for pushing the base as well. I'm not going to cover those right now, but this is just how we can use wards to push and help defend our towers outside of our base. Once again, NizCast episode 8? I don't even know. I don't even know how many episodes I've done. Oh my goodness. Anyways, this is a NizCast episode. It's our second one on warding. Hope you enjoyed.